Howdy, y'all. So, I'm going to be responding to two Rolling Stones articles today. For those of you who aren't aware of my position on Rolling Stones, well, these are the same people that published that false rape article, or that false rape allegation article. So we can already tell the Rolling Stones doesn't go too far into doing any real investigative journalism before they actually publish something. But without further ado, I'm going to put the first article up. That's rich, considering the fact you're an actress. You're standing beside your cousin, who's a senator from New York. You are supporting a movement that has people like Mayor Bloomberg and Bill Gates giving money to it. Billionaires. And it's a money issue all of a sudden. Interesting. Oh, and if it was a money issue, why didn't that universal background check bill in Washington, 594? It was support for it was outfunded 12-1. Excuse me. So basically, the people who supported the bill had a 12-1 funding ratio, and then even then, in Washington, they only got 60% of the vote. Imagine that. But you know what the truth is, Amy? You're flat out wrong. Now, here's why. First off, the people who are into owning firearms, well, that's kind of investment to us. If you see some of the firearms I have on this rack, and this is only, this isn't even a drop in my collection. Well, shoot, that rifle up top is $2,000. Just the rifle. Rifle below it is about $500. The shotgun below that is about $600-700. And the double barrel below that was maybe $300. But as you can tell, we put some capital into our investment. So, you're wrong on that one. And the other part where you're wrong on is the fact that, well, to be honest with you, not a lot of people truly support either side in this debate. You know how they say 90% support the background checks? BS. That was a bogus number done on a faulty statistic. Most people don't really give a shit either way, and voting for or against that bill is not going to change most people's decision on who they vote for. And the people who it will change their decision on who they vote for, well, guess what? They're not on your side for the most part. Those of us who really care about the direction of our gun laws in this country, and what they aren't on your side. So this is not your area of expertise, and yet you still want to come out and speak out about this? Oh, and it's frustrating that you're not winning? Well, imagine that. Imagine how it feels for some of us who have put thousands of dollars into our hobby and plan to put probably thousands more into our hobby in the future, who are constantly having to battle jackasses like you and your fucking cousin, on the national level, for gun control, or even on the state level sometimes, because y'all don't know what you're fucking talking about. Oh, and you know what? If you're offended by the language, I don't give a damn. I really don't. But here's the thing. You know what? I'm glad you're frustrated. I'm going to keep on donating my money to organizations such as the NRA, Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, and any organization that will be a thorn in your side. Because you know what? If you're going to take this path, I want your life to be as frustrating as possible. I want to give you a headache. You're not sure why he chose your movie? Maybe it's not your movie he chose to do that at. Maybe it's the fact that the theater probably had a no gun sign there. I think that had a bigger impact on his choice than your movie. And a criminal manages to get around the law, get around a government program that everyone, that you, the very same people on your side, marketed to the country as being something that was going to end gun violence, and it didn't work. Well, you've only proven me right on that one. You've only proven guys like me right, because you can have all the gun laws in the world and all these little fancy dancy institutions and government agencies. You know what? And criminals are still going to find ways to get guns, and they're still going to find ways to acquire tools and harm other people. All you do with gun control and do this is just make everyone else's life harder who wants to get a firearm to protect themselves, or they're a collector, or they're a hunter, or they're just a firearms enthusiast. You make their lives harder. I just had to throw that comment in there, from the bottom of that article. The reason why, it just shows you how ridiculous these gun control advocates really are. You never hear of them saying, well, the gun control lobby is running the show in New York, or the gun control lobby is running the show in Europe. However, when it's an organization that's promoting and defending the freedoms that they don't particularly like, they've got to paint them out to be some dictator, some all-powerful corporation or all-powerful entity that somehow prevents justice. You see what they're doing right there. They're projecting their own traits to an organization. In reality, these people are the control freaks. These people are the ones that are trying to rule over everybody else. And they want to paint the NRA to be the very same tyrants that they are. Okay, and here's the second article I wanted to respond to. Now, this article right here is, again, them accusing the, quote, gun industry of unethical marketing tactics. When, in a matter of fact, these are the very same people who have no problem lying, have no problem moving the goalpost, have no problem with non sequitur. They have no problem with defaming somebody mercilessly. And yet they're accusing the gun industry of not having ethics. You see, again, the Rolling Stones is projecting their own traits onto the gun industry, is pretty much what it boils down to. So as we can tell, Tim Dickinson is one of these gun control fanatics. All right. He's obviously got some experience with obsessing over the gun industry and the NRA. he has a problem with the fact that people are allowed to own firearms, and the man is so intolerant over gun owners, he just can't come out and say that. So he has to paint the gun industry and the NRA as some all-powerful, tyrannical industry that only seeks to profit off the blood of innocents. But, we'll get into a little bit more as we go on, and we see what some of his despicable marketing tactics really are. So basically, the fallacy he's going off of here is that SIG is marketing military hardware to civilians. This guy is making it seem like, a pistol and marketing a military pistol to civilians is no different than marketing, say, a nuclear weapon. All right, but when you really look at it, all they're talking about marketing is a pistol. Now, I don't have an M11 here. I do have a SIG P226. Now, ask yourself this. You're going to buy a pistol to protect yourself and your family. Which pistol would you take? Would you take the pistol that's trusted by the trained professionals? Or would you okay, now granted this was a police pistol, it's at least a police model, though it's a very outdated police model. But would you rather take that SIG, or would you rather take, this Walther PP, it's sub-caliber. It may do the trick, it may not. And again, even this may or may not do the trick, but which would you rather trust your life with? The more reliable, up-to-date technology, or the older, more finicky technology, the more antiquated technology? Come to think of this, would you put your children in substandard schools, or would you want to put your children in the best school you can possibly do it? Would you say it's a shady thing for a brake salesman to market the best brakes possible, trusted by the professionals to you, or would you rather them go with the shoddy, may do the job brakes? Come on. It's insanity to even try to accuse that tactic of being dirty. The term assault weapon was coined by people who don't want the general population to be able to own firearms. Let's put it that way. Before they coined that term, their goal was to eliminate smaller, inexpensive pistols such as this right here, and they called them stuff like Saturday Night Special. Again, and this goes into my last point, is that look what they were doing up to the 80s and 90s, is they were trying to demonize these pistols right here, calling them Saturday Night Specials, only criminal guns, So, what really is an acceptable firearm for you to have with these people? And the answer is there is no acceptable firearm, and they can't come out and say that. So any firearm you pick, they're going to have a nasty word for it. But they derive the term, quote, assault weapon from the term assault rifle. And assault rifle, the definition has been around since the 40s. There's actually a definition for what an assault rifle is. And of course, the gun control lobby wants to move the goalposts on this. But that very rifle that they were marketing in the ad, that Bushmaster was marketing, the ACR, is a modern sporting rifle. People use them for 3-gun competitions or target shooting. Wouldn't that be a sporting purpose? If somebody decides to use it for a home defense, wouldn't that be a defensive purpose? But the gun control lobby will sit there and take an incident such as the Newtown massacre perpetrated by Democrat Adam Lanza in a gun-free zone, which, by the way, gun-free zones seem to be the biggest targets. I mean, in fact, gun-free zones correlate more with mass murders than, quote, assault weapons do. But you will never get a gun control advocate to come out and admit that, because a gun control advocate, a true gun control advocate, is a liar. They're a dishonest person at heart. But, yeah, so, again, they're going to take that one example, despite the fact that millions of people own AR-15s, millions of people own rifles like ACRs, Wasser 10s, and use them responsibly. Okay, so Barrett produces military-grade rifles for military and law enforcement. They also market some of these rifles to civilians. So what? They're not illegal. And if Joe Couch Potato decides he wants to get himself, say, a Barrett XM107 or a Barrett M107, why is that any of your business? Why is it any of your business that he goes to a long-range marksman or a long-range rifle range and pops off a few rounds, pretending he's a Navy SEAL in his free time? How does that harm you? The answer is it doesn't. But the fact of the matter is, as gun control advocates, he's committed a thought crime in your book. His actions, owning that rifle, he's a bad person just for owning that rifle. You see, again, this is further evidence of what type of control freaks the gun control lobby really is. Oh, and by the way, again, I've got this AR-15 here. The selling point on it to me was it's very similar to the rifle I carried when I was in service. So, again, I'm one of those types who would buy a rifle that I fell in love with in the service. Yeah, that is a marketing point to me. Obviously I'm not going to buy anything illegal because I have enough respect for the law not to do that. And I also have no desire to become a felon. I've got too much tied up into my guns. So, again, completely ridiculous point that Tim is trying to make here. Okay, so traditionally, firearm ownership has been seen as either grandpappy's thing or, something a bunch of middle-aged white males do, So, in their mind, it was okay because, you can't be racist towards a middle-aged white male in their mind. Or at least it was okay to be racist or sexist towards a middle-aged white male. But now, since women are taking an interest in the hobby, now people like Tim are not too happy about that because that's our demographics expanding. So now he can't really use that straight white middle-aged male narrative or grandpappy narrative that he once was able to use. So what he does is chides the gun industry for marketing firearms to women. Which with Tim, again, typical gun control advocate, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you're a gun owner, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't with Tim. no attack on firearm ownership, I guess, would be complete without attacking the most controversial pistol. You know, and here's the funny thing: the controversy, only has to do with the fact that it's based off gun control advocates' lies. Because first off, it's illegal to get the quote armor-piercing rounds for the 5.7. Now, while these rounds look scary and are look like they're armor-piercing, they're really not. They won't pierce any body armor that is designed to stop most handgun rounds. And the actual tungsten cord rounds that are armor piercing, they're not on the civilian market, never have been, and they're actually illegal to purchase as a civilian. But people like Tim won't tell you that. People like Tim will sit there and say, well, it's designed to fire armor piercing rounds. Yeah, well, just the same as any gun. Now, this little pistol right here, however, is a very desirable pistol, especially for women to shoot. Characteristics: low recoil, very accurate, In fact, actually, I used to date somebody who was very much so in favor of gun control. And when I took her to the range, this was her favorite pistol. In fact, a lot of the people I've taken to shoot, out of all the guns all the pistols they shot, this was their favorite pistol. Drawbacks to the 5.7, it's expensive. The rounds are expensive. The rounds are a little bit hard to find sometimes. But other than that, it's a really nice pistol. So I can see why women like these types of pistols. This, again, is another lie by omission with Tim Dickinson, as well as another damned if you do, damned if you don't move by Tom Dickinson, or Tim Dickinson. First off, it doesn't matter how much the gun industry markets a rifle to a kid. A kid can't walk into an FFL and purchase a rifle, no matter how much the gun industry or that kid wants him to. The other thing is that rifles not really being marketed to the kid. The rifle's being marketed to the parent of the kid. You get out there, teach your kid how to shoot. They're marketing that to the parents of the children. Why? Well, obviously, the parents are usually the best people to determine whether or not their children is ready to shoot. They're the best people generally to teach their children basic firearm safety because they know their children. And they're generally the people that give a damn the most about their kids. And teaching children proper firearm safety from a very early age is a good thing. But Tim, like a hypocrite, has no problem with Obama using children as props. He has no problem, I guarantee you, with fucking brainwashing children at a young age to think guns are bad. This is Tim trying to usurp parents' rights to teach their children how to shoot. So, again, who really has concern for your kids? And who really has concern for your rights as a parent? Do you think the gun control advocates do have any concern about that? you're deadly wrong. I mean, you're horribly mistaken. And people like Tim Dickinson, are living proof. Again, Tim Dickinson is obviously trying to project his own predatory behavior onto the gun industry. So, he has this whole issue, I guess, against the take your daughter to the range day. You know, Again, here is a perfect opportunity for the dad and daughter to bond, you know, and do something, that they both will enjoy, and possibly give the daughter a skill that might save her life in the future. To obviously teach your daughter responsible firearm use, and Tim Dickinson has a problem with that. Go figure. Gun control advocate want, you know what? I want to tell you this right now. People like Tim Dickinson do not care about the welfare of your kids. People like Tim Dickinson would rather see your kids die in an accident or get gunned down so he can use them as political props to push his fucking agenda. That's the only, that is the type of person Tim Dickinson is. I can tell that from his writing. All right. But here's the thing, yeah, again, the gun industry and organizations such as the National Rifle Association are going to encourage parents to get involved with their children when it comes to firearms. That's obvious. One, what industry wouldn't want to have more responsible clients? Second, it doesn't help the NRA or the gun industry anytime a child has an accident and shoots somebody or shoots themselves. It doesn't help the gun industry anytime a kid gets killed because somebody was negligent with a firearm. The only people it helps are people like Tim Dickinson, who sit there and will exploit those children. He's low enough to exploit those children and use them as props. That's the only person that helps. I can understand why Tim does not want dads to take their daughters to the range. Okay, again, this is another non-issue that control freaks such as Tim Dickinson and the staff at Rolling Stone seem to have a problem with. Again, we have all sorts of apparel or, merchandise from The Walking Dead, and other zombie movies. So, why on earth will we not have zombie targets? What on earth is wrong with zombie targets? Again, yeah, the people that buy them, yeah, they spend a lot of money on them. But isn't that their prerogative if that's how they choose to have fun? I mean, what harm does it do to anybody, if somebody decides they want to get one of the or two of these zombie targets, on the weekend and go out, and pretend that they're fighting off zombies, as long as they're practicing it safely, either on their own private land or at an authorized shooting range. There is none. Again, this is an example of just how controlling the gun control lobby and gun control advocates really are. Oh, and we have the zombie ammo, which, by the way, is marked as ammunition, but apparently that's bad too, according to people like Tim Dickens. You know, people can't go out, and enjoy, shooting on the weekend. They can't have any sort of fun do it, if they're going to be able to do it. In Tim Dickens' mind, you can't have fun shooting, you know. So, again, wow. I mean, I fail to see how this is a problem, you know. But again, people like Tim Dickens have this thought police mentality, where they have to go and police everyone's thoughts, you know. I mean, that's all I got. I mean, that's all I got to say to it. I mean, I'm stupefied that any of this stuff here is an actual disgusting marketing tactic. Really, I mean, I think these are all nice marketing tactics. You know, these the gun manufacturers and those associated, those businesses associated, are doing the right thing. They're being smart. They're marketing to people, and they're making the sport more interesting. They're making the hobby more interesting. But yet, people like Tim have a problem with that. Guys, I mean, after all the recent things that have come out from Rolling Stones and people like Tim Dickinson, I mean, do you really want to take their word for anything anymore? Honestly. But, again, obviously, while Tim Dickinson seems to think that the Second Amendment is being way too abused, it's my opinion that Tim Dickinson is abusing the First Amendment with his irresponsible writing. Same for Rolling Stones, with their irresponsible reporting and things like the two articles I showed you and the UVA rape article, that false rape that they published. Anyway, y'all take her easy now.